welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for the today's session of WaterSmartSolution Bootcamp. My name is Apurva Zode. I am from Vishweshwaraya National Institute of Technology, pursuing environmental engineering. And I would like to thank Center for Youth Organization, C4Y, and especially to Alka ma'am, Sudha ma'am, and Sanjay sir for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Today, we are presenting Water Smart Solutions and Strategies by Center for Science and Environment by Mr. Suresh Kumar Rohilla. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any question during the presentation, please type them into the chat box and we will have time for the question at the end. Now, without further delay, we will turn the time over to Mr. Suresh Kumar Rohilla, our presenter today. Uh, he is currently associated as a senior director leading the water program at CSE, a New Delhi-based policy research think tank. He is the academic director of School of Water and Waste. He's an education and capacity building hub of Global South at the center. Over 25 years of experience working with the development sector, INGO and global think tank, strategic planning, fundraising, operational management, leading large programs, teams and managing people working in the different cultural contexts. This include considerable research and teaching experience with the reputed universities in UKs and India, as well as working with the central, state and local government in India. During past 10 years, he has closely worked with the sanitation and development sector in government and non-government organization in universities in Africa, including Ghana, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, and South Asia. Then he has also aimed at mainstreaming environmental and water sustainability in human settlements. He has developed and conducted over 200 short training programs, including online programs for practitioner and regulators. He has taught full time both to the undergraduates and postgraduates courses and supervised about 40 plus students research projects. He has also examined MPhil and PhD exams, and he was a jury member of the Studios in Planning and Architecture universities. He is an expert member of various committees set up by the central and state government in India, including professional bodies, think tank, and international peer reviewed journal. He is also an active member of International Water Association Specialist Group of Executive Committee, member of IWA India chapter. Okay, so now he will be like highlighting the credibility and expertise, how they are actually implementing the water smart solution and strategies which are opted by CSE.
So welcome, sir.
Finally, take over to you, sir.
Thank you.
And let me also add that he has been with us right from last year and very kind of very delighted, and plus he's very cheerful. You'll see through the program the way he's conducting. He has been very open to everything right from the beginning, from 2020. Thank you. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, Alkaji. Thank you, Apurvaji. You'll have to give me screen sharing rights if I have to start. And very good morning to all of you. Can I share screen?
Now you can share.
Okay. Let me just see if I can get it right. Are you able to see something on the screen?
Yes, we can.
Great. So very good morning to all of you, and C4Y and CSE. This is a very exciting journey, second year now, and very good morning, a very sunny morning on a rainy monsoon season, and look forward to interacting with the youth. That gives us the smile on the face. Otherwise, there are so many depressing things happening in this world, and 2020 and 21 is full of something which does not energize you. But I think engaging with youth is something which energizes me also, because having worked in 25 years in this sector now, I'm out of that youth category, I think. So looking forward to engaging. Today, I have been asked to be part of this interesting group of people who want to basically venture out into and dirty their hands into the field which we have been doing for 25 years, which is water and sanitation. They may continue or they may not. That's also a thing once they know that how difficult and how complex it is. But I would share my journey. It's my bread and butter as well as my passion, basically how I engage with the water sector. My presentation has two, sessions, you can say, brief, you can say divisions. One is I will tell you about CSC, about School of Water and Waste and what we do and why we do. I think that's very important. And then I will focus also our learnings, not only the learnings which I have had over 25 years of journey, but whatever also CSC engagement in water sector for 40 years or so. So I will mix all my personal and institutional memories and try to share with you the issues, challenges, and some solutions. Okay, this would be my broad frame of the presentation. Now, if you look at CSC, some of you might have not have been born by that time when CSC was set up. It was in 1980s CSC was set up, and we are a registered non-profit society. And we are an institution, and we define ourselves an institution which is filling the gap between information and knowledge. Information is all over. Every corner of the world, there is information available. But how does that become knowledge? And then we also try to create public awareness to influence public policies and practice because we are a democratic country. And we feel that, to promote sustainable development, access to services have to be equal to all, and people should participate, and democratic values should guide that process. So I think that is one. Other important frame in which CSC works is that the challenges, and India, CSC is a national institution, but last a decade ago, we went global. So, but I will tell you about that journey a little later. But we learn from our national issues, what the challenges faced by India, and we strongly feel that environment as a development challenge. Environment is one of the areas where there is a direct conflict with development. Poor live on their environment. They get the resources from the environment. And environment is the biggest asset for economic growth. But its sustainable use demands new management systems, and regenerate resource bases for livelihoods. So poor people have their livelihoods attached to environment. And development as an environment challenge basically don't have money or resources to fix the problem. We cannot afford to pollute. People are demanding change. There are people. Youth is asking for new ways to grow. It was shocking to see that Europe, the way it was flooding last week, and today I saw some videos today morning that how in China there has been once in 1,000-year peak rainfall, and our cities and our human settlement were not prepared, and there is no adaptive capacity in that to handle that. So we need to leapfrog to get new answers. We can't plan cities on 10-year average or 25-year average. We need to think beyond. We need to plan cities for 2050 and beyond, not based on the technologies of 1950s or 19th century. We need new ways to progress. We need to deepen democracy. We need to take people along with that. And access to resources is important. We need to also build institutions. The traditional conventional institutions with conventional approaches are no longer going to suffice. And I'm not even sure that whatever you are learning today in colleges after 5 years, how valid that would be. The situation is so dynamic and changing so frequently that this COVID crisis has taught us that whatever you may plan, even the biggest technical institution scientists failed to predict how COVID would behave and how it would impact the economies. So you would understand that knowledge is only one step towards solution, but you need to be adaptive, you need to be open, and that is one of the main things. Okay, so to just give you a brief background, that CSC is organized into different programs. We have a program on clean air and mobility. We have a program on sustainable habitat. We also have a program on sustainable industrialization, and sustainable water and waste management is the program which I lead. And then we have climate change, renewable energy, food and toxins program. These are the you can call it a department or you can call it a program, and we work cross-cutting. And one of the core areas of CSC, these programs, is to document, to build knowledge. So if you remember, I said information. So we document the information and then that becomes knowledge. And we try to disseminate this knowledge through different via medias. We have a fortnightly magazine called Down to Earth. We have Gober Times, which is for engaging youth and school children, which is again a monthly magazine. We have CSC websites, very informative website. We have India Web Environmental Portal. We have a range of books and publications. We have video films. I would encourage you to have a look at these video films. We also have green books, which gives you more details about that. So apart from this, we have had, a green school program engaging with schools who are interested in doing some green initiatives. We have a media and journalist engagement program. So we also brief media journalists about the current environmental and technical issues such that they can report appropriately and build pressure on the politicians such that there is a informed media. Usually people say media doesn't know the technical subject, but we act as a bridge between the media and the information and knowledge. And we have also learned over 10 years ago that, there is a big gap between the you can say the past knowledge which any engineer, architect, planner, or anybody has had. Because if you have been to a college and after that 20, 25, 30 years in your professional life, you need to keep on upgrading your skills. So we have developed an Anil Agarwal Green Institute, Training Institute, which is a forum or a hub where everybody comes together and exchanges information, and we do short professional development courses, which is also for youth also, I would say. And we don't restrict this to India. We are restricting this to also the pollution control agencies of India and abroad, as well as we are developing for Africa and Asia also. So this is a brief about the CSE, and as I've given you, CSE was set up in 1980s. We were awarded the biggest water prize called Stockholm World Water Prize in 2005 for our work on engaging communities in water management. And CSE started working in 2008 in South Asia, because once we were recognized by Stockholm World Water Prize, for award winner, we were, expected to share our national learning with Global South, where in similar context things work. So 10 years ago, we went global. So we are a global think tank now, feeding our national learnings into the global dialogues and processes. So we share our experiences with, organizations and partners abroad. So we don't have offices abroad, but we work with partners, credible partners. So now coming to the capacity building and training, which is the core area of CSE, 50% of our efforts go in that. CSE is recognized designated Center for Excellence for Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry, which deals into urban development, sustainable water management area, and we support them into the reform agenda. We train the engineer, town planning and public health area, municipal functionaries and state functionaries. We have MOU with the state government of Orissa, Andhra Pradesh, Jharkhand and Uttar Pradesh. In spite of that, we are a non-profit. You would see that very strange relationship we have. We have a love and hate relationship kind of a thing. We work with government, we support them everywhere. We are one of the established knowledge contributing agency to the government also. We also provide support, and we have one of the first kind of laboratories which support the regulators, pollution control scientists. So we are also a nodal center for training the regulators and scientists in Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. We also are a national hub for Ministry of Jal Shakti, Government of India. So these are some of the esteem points which tell you that in spite of being a kind of a non-profit, we have also been able to establish a bridge between the policy and practice. We feed into the policy and also contribute into the practice, the community of practice. So this could be youth, this could be mid-level professionals, this could be politicians, this could be decision makers, and this could be variety of stakeholders. So you can see these global spread and the partnerships we have. You would see that over 30 plus partnerships across the globe we have. And the aim of the water program, which I direct, is basically to establish policy principles, innovation in technologies and implementation strategies for water and wastewater management. And all our efforts are directed towards laying the foundation for making our society, our cities more water prudent and adapting to the changing climate. Basically, the climate change responses need to be built in cities and human settlements. So that is my core area. And CSC's water and waste program education part has been there for 10 years. And in 10 years, we have been able to engage with around 5,000 plus alumni. And we have been developing a demand-driven research, capacity building, and awareness program. And our aim is to have a city-wide solution, not just doing only pilots in corners of the city or something and then saying that, oh, we have made such a big change. No, we are looking at that city-wide solutions for water and sanitation is our aim. And we have established partnerships. And this is a view of the, our training center, which is located 120 kilometers from New Delhi in Alwar district. You can say we have made an off-grid campus where we harvest 100% rainwater. We do wastewater treatment and reuse on campus. We don't have air conditioning, and we maintain 26 degrees inside the building, and a beautiful campus, which is a living laboratory, I would say. So which we use for advanced training. So we have a mix of advanced training as well as online training. We have an alumni which comes for online training. From there, we select a cohort of 20 people. So this is a teaching, learning, innovation hub. And at one given point of time, six trainings can happen there, and 140 people can stay on campus. And India and international people visit. And these logos and other things are which are shown in this slide are the MOUs and the existing partnerships, ranging from developed world and global south. Our focus areas are listed here. In the water area, we propose water sensitive urban design and planning, which is a preventive approach, which also includes rooftop water harvesting, but that is only part of that exercise. Then we talk about green infrastructure and nature-based solution. So we don't talk about only the smart solution in the form of SCADA system or equipments, but we really talk about a big macro level nature-based solution, which do contribute, and they are the only solutions now we realize during the COVID times. Open spaces, green spaces, in the built environment, we should try to create those kind of opportunities. We talk about how we are losing the urban lakes and water bodies, which is very important. If you see today flooding and all those issues which are connected to loss of lakes and water bodies. And we emphasize quite a lot, and we have training program on people who are engineers, planners, or environmental scientists on water and communication. That how do you communicate your results? How do you communicate your work, what you do? So I think there is a training on that also, water and communication. And then we also provide the state-of-the-art tools and approaches. So we don't say that, because 5,000 years ago, there was rainwater harvesting being done, so you should do that. No. We bring you state-of-the-art tools and state-of-the-art approaches, linking if there is a hybrid solution possible or how to resolve the 2050 problems with the state-of-the-art tools and approaches. And Water Vows is a very basic course, basically, to people who are not from the water sector, but from any discipline. First, they undergo this training and come for other specialized trainings, which are listed above. Then in the sanitation area, we talk about citywide inclusive sanitation, where gender and, other stakeholder engagement with more engineering-dominated sanitation projects, which are nowadays moving from focus from sewerage to sanitation. This is our another area of work. We also help cities prepare citywide sanitation plans. And we also have developed some projects as well as use the training center to showcase that how decentralized wastewater treatment can be done and local reuse of water is possible. So there are training programs organized around that. There is an on-site training, there is an off-site training, and we do exposure visits. So we also have started work on fecal sludge and septage management, which is the waste which comes out from on-site sanitation systems. And we talk about the public health risks, and there is a training program with WHO which we do on sanitation safety plan. So these are some of the programs, and the way how we do this is we don't have a fixed thing that we are not a degree awarding university. We do short-term training, 1 to 4 weeks maximum, and we do exposure visits 1 to 2 weeks maximum. We have online courses which is on Moodle platform. It's a mix of material available for participants to go through on their own time. Then it is assessment based. Then then you have progress from 1 week to second week. And then we also have some hand-holding sessions, which are live virtual sessions. So our online course is not just online course. It is a mix of state-of-the-art teaching, learning, and Harvard case method, where we provide interactive sessions with students. So we do knowledge conclaves once in a year, bringing together youth, decision makers, industry, NGOs, and we also have time to time alumni networking meetings. So people who have undertaken our training, we bring them back after 5 years, 10 years, for them to share their stories, share their journey experiences. In fact, one of those meetings is happening in August second week called Alumni Impact Workshop. It's a masterclass impact workshop where around 25-30 alumni who have been trained and then they have implemented something and set up a company or something, they come and tell to other people that how they benefited from these CSC's capacity building initiative. So we are lucky. I'm lucky. At least a decade now, I've been running this capacity building program. That we do have 700 plus fellowships to support anybody who is requiring support for attending our training programs. And our training programs not only target Indian participants or students, but they are from across the world. So we select the best, and there is a screening process. You are encouraged to apply for this course scholarships. Last year, we actually had faced a very interesting thing that, our training center had to be closed, but we were not closed. And these numbers I wanted to share with you that we immediately adjusted to the new reality and the new normal. In a 9 months time, we actually did more than what we used to do usually. We did 24 trainings in 9 months during the COVID time when our center was closed, and we actually trained 1,500 people. In 10 years, we were able to train only 5,000 people. So what I'm trying to say is we are accommodative, we adjust to the new normal, and we actually did 17 webinars with 10,000 participants, 20 countries and 250 cities. We were able to do 4 campaigns, and we were able to train 1,500 sanitary workers and do 30 blogs. So this is the way we adjust to the situation, and we are very adaptive, and we do state of the art. We have world's best online training platform, and we try to tweak it as the situation demands. And you would see that we were also able to launch web portals such that we don't feel constrained by this pandemic saying if travel is not possible. We started working on different models. We used to charge a fees from participants. We said we will give you 25,000 rupees if you are in a city. We train you, you do status reports for your cities. That's how we have started reworking our plans. So we are very accommodative, we are very flexible, but we are also targeted. So we have geographical outreach in last year in spite of no travel, 900 plus cities and 57 countries. So this is the geographical spread I can tell you, and pandemic or no pandemic, we continue to work. So this is my first part of the presentation. Are there any questions before I move to the second one? Anything? Anybody has any questions? We can take a pause. Or shall I continue? Alka ji or the organizers?
It's okay. It's okay. No. You can. Apurva?
Anybody has any questions in between to know what is about CSC? Do you know about CSC now, all of you?
Yes, sir. Now, through your presentation, as we were not very much aware that what actually you do, now we have got the various knowledge, and hopefully we will be able to work with you someday, as some of our fellows are already working with you. So we are looking forward it.
Any fellows need any clarification? Or I'll ask a question that when was CSC set up?
Sure, sir. If you
I think we can do some quiz. That'd be nice. They will be kind of.
Okay. When did CSC get the Stockholm World Water Prize? If people are awake.
Yeah.
In 2005, sir. 2005, sir.
2005.
Very good. And when did CSC become global?
2014.
2014.
2014.
It was 2009 when we went South Asia. So, does anybody know that when was the School of Water and Waste set up? I never told you, so you will not know. So it was in 2017. So yeah, 3 years ago, we used to do stopgap arrangement. We used to do capacity building program, but actual school was set up in 2017 only. Okay. So I'll move on to my next slide now. Next set of my presentation. And I have taken around 30 minutes. So another 30 minutes for this presentation, followed the interaction. So people, today I would share with you my personal learnings as well as my institutional affiliations, which range from working 10 years at CSC Before that, I have worked with Worldwide Fund for Nature for 2 years, head of the Living Ganga program. And then before that, I was teaching at Administrative Staff College of India for a short time. But even before that, I was 6 years in UK, teaching at UK universities and doing my PhD as a mature student. I went after working for 7, 8 years. So before going to UK, I used to work with Government of India. You would see this strange journey, saying that moving from government and even before government, when I started my career, it was with a national NGO. It was intact, Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage. So in 94, 95, I started working, and we were the first ones to highlight Delhi's problems on water issues, and we were the first ones to prepare in situ water augmentation plan for Delhi. And that's after 4 years, I went to NCR Planning Board, and we helped NCR Planning Board develop the plan for hydrological interventions for National Capital Region. So, but there are a lot of learnings from different angles, from academic, from government, from NGO, and happy to share with you my learnings, and I hope you will benefit from that. And I work more in urban space, so I would share with you that how do we see the urbanization and what are the challenges of water and sanitation. We see that we have 8,000 urban centers in India. If you see 8,000 urban centers, out of which 3 Indian cities greater than 10 million, 53 cities more than 1 million, and over 833 million people living in 0.64 million villages. This number was in 2011, like 8,000 urban centers. Today, it might be certainly 12,000 plus. So, because we are already in 2021 and census results are still awaited. And because one thing which has not changed much, but which I'm looking forward to seeing in this decade is that when I was in school or college, and when you are, we are always taught that Bharat ek krishi pradhan desh hai. India is an agricultural economy. We are an agricultural economy, but which is 70% of the economy, but 30% which is urban itself is so huge and so massive, it can be more than the size of many European countries. Okay, so urban itself is important, but the rapid pace at which we are growing and the number of centers, we say 8,000 urban centers. Like I was yesterday attending one of the meetings of South Africa. South Africa has only 250 urban centers. Now, look at the scale at which we have to address. So, urban problem, urban centers in India itself is posing a policy and managerial challenge. So it is not that it is a less complex, but it's a very complex situation where we work. But at the pace of the change is also massively, and the number of practitioners coming also damage the, you can say, the landscape. You will see a pre-development, you will see a post-development. You would see there in fields, khet, farmlands, and then you will see buildings coming over. This from a natural porous area to a urbanized built up environment increases the runoff. And this today's context is very important. When you look at Gurgaon, when you look at Chennai and other places where floods are happening, you can relate that. These diagrams and the graphs show you saying that if you are a natural area, your runoff is very less. But if you are a developed area, your runoff is 55% more and infiltration is less, which is 15%. So you need to accommodate these changes. So we should try to develop something that the pre-development runoff should be as much as possible within the area which you are developing. So this is what is the challenge in when we do in cities. And we fail that. That's why we fail to control floods. We also fail to manage the groundwater when we start bringing water from outside. Another big challenge is India is emerging as a water-stressed country. Why water-stressed country? Because in 1947, as per the global marks and global standards, we had per capita water available, which was 6,000 plus 6,042 cubic meters per person, which has come down to as low as 1,545 cubic meter per person. And there is a cutoff point set up by the global standards. So we are now a water-stressed country. And it is projected that by 2040, our per capita water availability will reduce to 1,140, which is shown in red, you can see on the left-hand side. This is the kind of a basic water facts. 2 years ago, Niti Aayog, which is the planning agency for India, came out with these alarming numbers saying 70% of India's water is contaminated. 60 million people in India face high to extreme water crisis. 40% Indians will have no access to drinking water by 2030, and 21 cities will run out of groundwater by 2020. And another alarming fact you might not be aware, but if you are venturing out into this field of water management, is that today not even a single Indian city has 24/7 water supply. You get water supply, you store water supply in an overhead tank, and then you get water supply. Otherwise, 24/7 when you open the tap, water doesn't come automatically from the supply agency. This is one other fact which you should know if you are working into water area. Now, looking at the groundwater, there is an underestimated, unaccounted role of groundwater. The groundwater table fluctuation is evident in this map, which clearly shows these red color dots in the red patched area in India. Across India, there is an overexploitation. Cities where groundwater was available at 20 feet below ground level is now 250 to 300 feet below ground level. And we are going deeper and deeper. And this is important for you to note now, because when I come back to my other slides, you will see that how we are failing miserably in water management. So now those 20 cities which I was talking about, there is some commonality with what Niti Aayog said and what the global agencies said. These are the cities like at extreme risk. Agra, Delhi, Indore, you would see. Then there are medium risk, high risk cities like Mumbai, Bhopal, and Bangalore. There are also low risk cities. So this is a kind of a broad mapping of cities which is available, which are projected to run out of water. The problem is that we see the problem in isolation. When it floods, we start talking about drainage system. But on the other side, immediately after the monsoon, you will see people reporting shortage of water supply. So we need to understand that there is a coexistence of water problem. There is a shortage as well as abundance. And India being a monsoon country will get only 21 rainy days or 30 rainy days maximum. So you need to know how to store and how to recharge your aquifer or do a fixed deposit such that you can withdraw from that. So no city has 24/7 water supply because of that reason also, and there is a groundwater exploitation. So these are the pictures which are very common pictures, and today I'm sure if you are watching news or if you are traveling on road, these are common features of water flooding. On the other side, I'm saying that India is a water-stressed country and water problems where people do not get water. We did a quick mapping of smart cities, so-called smart cities, 100 smart cities, and big buzz is around saying that these smart cities will show the world that and India that how cities should be organized. Actually, all the smart cities are actually getting flooded. Our Millennium City, you can see Gurgaon, you can see NDMC area, you can see Hyderabad, you can see Pune, you can see Patna. All these smart cities are actually reporting increasingly urban flooding, as well as they are reporting exploitation of groundwater. And people are more focused on SCADA systems, more focused on engineering designs, but not addressing the whole issue of resource management and water, restoring the urban water cycle, which basically has been disrupted due to infrastructure development in these cities. And we are thinking that digital solutions will come to the rescue, that you can only see on your MIS saying that water is available or not available. And people are also working more on piped water supply, saying that you would have only tap and a pipe, but we don't know that whether there will be 24/7 water supply in the taps. So that is the current situation which is there. Now, we are talking about, if you remember in my first slide, I had said that we need to leapfrog and we need to learn from the past. So that is something which guides CSE, and that has also guided my research and my engagement in this sector. CSE has mapped that how historically India used to manage water. Were we so insensitive to water as we are today? Did we face the similar problems? I would say no, because 5,000 years back ago in Dholavira of Indus Valley civilization, harvesting of runoff was being done in dry Thar desert. But today we talk about a very different paradigm. I will come to that, how we are talking about a different paradigm. We are not doing rainwater harvesting in desert. Historically different agroclimatic regions, like India has Cherrapunji, India has a desert, India has a coast. So you have a highest rainfall, lowest rainfall, and you have diverse agroclimatic region. You had diverse technologies for rain and stormwater harvesting, and all water supply is rainwater basically. Rainwater only feeds the groundwater also. And the water management was participatory and decentralized. This is one thing you should remember. Similar management systems existed across India, and people had an important role to play. Like in Bihar, where frequent floods happen, Ahar Pine system was there for water management, which is an established water harvesting system for irrigation, cropping, and other things. So these were contextual, local area specific solutions which existed. But what happened was that when we came under British colonial rule, we were subject to institutionalization. Large institutions took over to manage the water resources, and they destroyed the community ownership as well as the community responsibility for water management. And we started also the advent of the civil engineering, where we started thinking that big is beautiful, big dams being made, which could address the issue of famine, droughts, and other things, food shortage. And we ended up having green revolution through canals and all those stuff. But if increasingly, if you look at the green revolution area, people think that it is the surface water, but it is actually the groundwater which is running the green revolution. So and the dams are only contributing 30-40% in that. So if you look at that post independence, it was basically the independence have been in post independence, the policies have been skewed, and very challenging problems have come in front of us. What has happened is there is an unwritten rule with this institutionalization of water management. What has happened is that you bring water into the city when a village becomes town and town becomes metropolis. So there is an unwritten rule, which rule is basically because what we are taught in the school and colleges, the Western world model that every city should be designed like a San Francisco or London, where there is a centralized water system, that water will only come through distant transfer of water as storage, diversion, pump, pipe, and treat. And for wastewater, we again have a same system saying wastewater should not be visible to your eyes. It should go in the pipeline to the river or a sea. And for that, you also again do piping, pumping, diverting, and you make a very simple problem into a very complex problem. I will come to that why it is a complex problem, because sewage is not a rocket science. We can handle the sewage decentralized in your neighborhood, in your own parks, and reuse it. That's how we do it at CSE also. So today what we have is that we have only, I said to you that we have 24/7 water supply. We also do, no city treats 100% of sewage, and only 30% of the sewage is treated only in the big cities. Small cities, actually there is no sewage treatment. Big cities sewage also is just 30% treated. So we have a current paradigm which talks about more water supplied, more wastewater generated, more cost of treatment, and unsustainable. And we can say we have already surrendered, saying that, oh, nothing can be done. So if we really want a city, then people say that city has high quality of life, we should supply more water. Instead of saying that city is an indicator of development, and development can be done at a less resources also, saying 80 liters per capita per day with good technology. That is what is required. But what is happening is that when a village becomes a town and a town becomes a city, there are different norms. I'll come to that, how that changes. Okay. And you will see that how we mismanage the water. So we have talked about historical water management, and we have seen that how institutions took over, and water was not everybody's business. It was only a department business. So you don't have any say in water management. You are not involved from the planning stages. So this seminal text which came out from CSE on making water everybody's business documented this, and this was the reason where we got the Stockholm World Water Prize, saying that in India we have failed to engage with the community, and we need to engage community. So since then, we have been working on solutions and trying to see that how we can reestablish this connection of people with water. And just to show you that how this 50 years, how we have been planning water, is that, for example, Delhi, as it grows, Delhi brings water from 250 kilometers from big dams. Chennai brings water from 100 kilometers. Mumbai, 100 kilometers. Hyderabad, 100 kilometers. Rajkot, 75 kilometers. This is a source of water. Jaipur, 120 kilometers. Jodhpur, 204 kilometers. And why do we bring water from far away? Because we have a technical norm, how we plan the city's water supply. If you look at, this is taken from the Ministry of Urban Affairs, the standard based on which the designing of water supply happens. So when I told you that India has different agroclimatic regions, But what ministry says is that following the Western civil engineering centralized model, saying that when a town is provided with piped water supply but without a sewerage system, it should have 70 liters per capita per day. But if a town is planned with a sewerage system, it should have 135 liters per capita per day. You can see the difference between 70 and 135. So remaining additional water which is coming is only for sewerage system, for flushing your toilet. So you are using good quality water from Himalayas for planning for your sewerage system, not for drinking water supply. So drinking water supply is the same when a town is having a piped water supply, and or if a town is a big city with a sewerage system or a metropolis city. You are actually bringing or using good quality water or making dams for these kind of non-potable water users, which is certainly not a good way of handling water resources. And then again, 135 and 150 there is a leakage loss also. So CSC did a very big across India study on understanding how water and wastewater is handled. And we looked at these different class size cities. If you look at the metro cities are shown in the blue color, and class 1 cities are shown in the pink color, and orange color is class 2 and 3 cities. And this dotted line shows you that 150 cutoff point, saying that, okay, assuming that every city should get 150 liters per capita per day, we found that every city which we surveyed was actually already getting more water supply, or we were supplying more water to people. Then where was the problem of water shortage? Problem was the distribution and the management problem. So we were not technically sound to manage this technology, and we were not engaging with people along with the technology solutions which we were providing. So this is what we found, that there was huge leakage losses, huge distribution losses. And for example, Delhi was, this is the Delhi's map. The blue color lines in this map show you the network of water supply. But on the outskirts, everywhere there is a population living. You would see that this on the bottom right map, there is a groundwater decline map. You would see that 60 to 70% of the area of Delhi, in spite of the water supply network, was still dependent on groundwater. So the piped network, and this is one example, this was happening in every city, saying a piped network bringing water from dams were able to get water only half an hour a day in the morning or the afternoon. That was not sufficient enough, or there was an alternate day water supply, and people were having their own groundwater extraction mechanism. So groundwater continued to be a source of water supply. Every house there was either mixing of groundwater with surface water, or in fact groundwater was much better, and surface water which was coming was contaminated and polluted, so people were either not using it, or they were using for only flushing toilets. So people have a RO system, and if they have a brackish groundwater, they treat it and they reuse it, but they were not so this I have already presented. So overall situation in India on sewage management, also I have given you broad figures, is that water supply has increased over a period of time. If you see these different color bars show you from 1978 to 2015 how the water supply provision has increased. And if you assume 80% of that is wastewater, then the wastewater generation has also increased. But if you see proportionate to that, the treatment capacity for sewage has not increased. And sewage treatment is a costly business. It is at least 4 times more costlier than bringing water to city. So when people are not charged for the water supply, so the question of charging for or recovering cost for treatment does not arise. So what we do is we flush and forget, and we are actually not able to treat our sewage. So the emerging picture in urban India in 10 years ago was that 81% of the sewage was untreated. And you will see that this sewage color has been used in the arrow diagram to show that either the sewage was dumped into the open drains, or the rivers, or the lakes, basically, which were also the sources of water supply. So this was a very concerning issue for CSC when we were understanding the issue of water and waste management across India. And we found that, something we were missing in India was that we were also getting trapped when we were doing the surveys of the cities. We were talking to them, where does your water come from? Where does your waste go? But one thing we were missing was that the considerable population in India depends upon septic tanks and on-site sanitation system. And these septic tanks are emptied once in 3 years, once in 4 years, once in 20 years, depending upon the size of the septic tank. And this septic load has VOD as high as 6,000 ml per liter as compared to the normal sewage, which is 20 times or 40 times or 100 times more BOD. So the fecal sludge or septage was one of the issues which was not even on the forefront of the policymaker. So CSE, as a Center for Excellence for Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, I wrote this policy paper along with a scientist in Central Pollution Control Board. And this policy paper actually became the guidance document for the cities, and a lot of projects in this area have happened. But the point was to make the cities convince the cities that they should look at different ways and move away from basically sewerage to sanitation, because sewerage is only conveyance system, if you see, and sewage is what flows into the conveyance system. But sewerage and sewage is only available to only 10% currently. What is need is the hygiene and the sanitized built environment. So our concern was, how do we change the focus of cities and urban areas from sewerage and sewage to sanitation, because the outcome is sanitation. So we made them realize that the sewage and the sewerage system, what you are planning, is a huge chemical and electrical based system. For treatment of sewage, you need huge amount of chemicals and energy to pump from sewage from households to river, and then again at the river, along the river, and see when you have sewage treatment plants, and you don't have 24/7 electricity. However, if you see this 70 cities which we had studied, we found that more than 50% of the cost was going in the sewage and water area in electricity and salary. So the technology choice for providing solutions on water and sanitation was highly energy intensive. That's why we were not actually having sustainable water supply. So we had not thought about mimicking the nature or using the natural principles for solving the water problem. So this was one reason which we found, and we used this in our advocacy. Another thing which we used was, if you remember that diagram where I showed the sewage, which was 81%, we tied up with a global sector partners initiative called shit flow diagram, which was a model which basically pushes the regulators or decision makers to decide that where investment should go. So this diagram converts that sewage which was being dumped into the open environment into red color, showing that it is an alarming situation. So we did a sewage mapping on the excreta mapping, which is the shit which is there in the septic tanks, which goes which is not managed properly. And we showed that in different parts of the country, how the red color shows that there is a need for addressing the issue of open defecation, off-site and on-site. And also you can see that in last 5 years, there's a lot of progress. Government did it. Government came out with a program on, toilet provision and likewise. But toilet provision is only one of the steps, because toilet is something which you do, which is a comfort and privacy. But what happens behind the toilet is the real problem when it starts. The people used to go and defecate in the fields, and then the problem was outside the human settlement. Now the problem has come inside. You have a toilet, you have a twin pit, or you have a septic tank, and septic tank overflows and there is a pipeline. And then now you will also have increasingly more number of taps in your house for water supply. So this problem is, manifold increased. We did this and we zeroed down our focus to from India to UP, and we did a study for Uttar Pradesh, 66 cities, all the Amrut towns. And we showed that these Amrut towns, where the funding was being given for sewerage projects, need to focus on sanitation, and the focus of investment should change. So from UP, we also brought this issue and connected this to the rivers. So we released a report that rivers are polluted because the cities along the river are being planned only for sewerage system and not treatment system, or only about treatment system, but there is no sewerage system. Because if the households are dependent on only septic tanks, then how would the waste reach the sewage treatment plant? So all the Namami Gange projects are sewage treatment plants. So these were major issues we highlighted, and we said that for river health, we need to connect urban sanitation, not urban sewage, and we need to connect urban water management. So these were the issues which we highlighted over a period of time, and we have been quite a lot successful, I would say. So in India, we tested this methodology of using green and red arrow marks to make the decision makers bring the issue to the forefront that toilet provisioning is not sufficient. They should have more city-wide solutions. they should look at liquid waste management, and they should also prepare city-wide sanitation plans. So if you remember initially when I said that CSE always has pushed in last 3 decades for city-wide sanitation and city-wide water plan. Okay, so the UP study, the Ganga Basin study, we were able to move the agenda for government to basically, do sanitation. So CSE has developed 100 SFDs, but there are around 500 SFDs developed by different sector players in India. Today, India has a national fecal sludge and septage management policy. There are 19 states which have come out with fecal sludge septage management policy. 450 cities, Amrut and non-Amrut cities, have started on-site waste management fecal sludge treatment plants. And ministry has accepted SFD as a part of institutionalization and nationwide rollout. It has incorporated this tool, and we were very shy when we were doing advocacy whether we use the word shit in our policy, because people talk about very decent words like pollution, contamination. We use the word shit flow diagram to show in the mirror situation of cities. So shit flow diagram as a term has been used in the policy guidelines of the ministry now to monitor the progress of cities and city sanitation. So in fact, the shit flow diagram was used by Bill Gates when he met Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi to show him the status of river and to tell him that you need to work towards this. And then the government has issued these guidelines under Swachh Bharat Mission Urban on-site and off-site sewage management, which includes this shit flow diagram as one of the tools which cities can use to do a rapid assessment. And you can see the Secretary of Urban Development inaugurating a conference with a title called Shit Flow Diagram Week, SFD Conclave, which was in 2019 at CSE's Technical Training Institute. So you can see that how we come forward. These guidelines are available from the ministry website for you to download and refer it. This is the status, how we have moved how we have made the elephant move. We have, India is a big country. We have made India's investments move towards sanitation, 450 plus FSTPs, fecal sludge treatment plants, other than the thousands of sewage treatment plants which are in the pipeline, have been, at a progressive stage. When the country was focusing with Honorable Prime Minister talking about saying in 5 years we will have ODF, we started pushing the agenda saying that government should also in between start talking about what happens beyond toilet. So midway, 3 years ago, government issued these guidelines, policy guidelines on FSM. They also started talking about liquid waste management. So now the city ranking system talks about ODF plus and ODF plus plus and water plus plus, which means that the liquid waste management also should be done. The fecal waste should be managed. Ultimately, all these waste, when it does not go to the water bodies, then only you will have safe sources of water supply, and then you will have, safe water supply to all. I think so. What has happened is that in past 5 years, sanitation focus, which was on building on toilet, which was important and necessary, but also the focus has changed from just current sewage treatment plants to other things. So I think this has been there. So we are supporting cities' journey beyond toilet provision now. Everybody is moving towards that how liquid waste management can be done, which is called ODF plus, ODF plus plus. And then there is a big program of Government of India Jal Jeevan Mission, which is water plus plus. So we have said that we should think beyond just 5 years. We should talk about in the 5-year programs, which is a short-term vision of political vision. We should start thinking about smart Swachh Bharat plus plus plus, Amrut City plus plus plus, Ganga Mission plus plus plus. Well, once you have a larger vision and a common aim, then only you will move towards that. Then only the dots will get connected. So what we also do is that, coming to the global thing, that we were successful in pushing the agenda in India for water and sanitation to the new levels of investments. We are also pushing usage of SFDs in other parts of South Asia, India, and Africa. So this program in the phase 3 has started for using SFDs to show cities that where they stand. And we have launched a big program for institutionalization. And South Africa yesterday has launched a program called Brown Drop, where they will rank the cities based on the SFDs which are being prepared. Similarly, Bangladesh, our partner, has launched a nationwide program for 100 cities to be ranked based on the SFD. So this is how we are, using the national experience to feed into the global processes and dialogues and supporting other countries who have similar contexts. So we are looking for partners to work in this area. But the problem is that all our institutions, maybe SPAs, IITs, regional engineering colleges, we found that they were teaching students of 1950s technologies and 1950s knowledge, how their cities problems were addressed. They were not being prepared for 2050 and beyond. So the biggest challenge is that today we need the innovation in policy, but we also need innovation in practice. And if we really need to change practice on ground and at large scale, because all the engineers, architect, planners, or all the expert scientists who are coming out from academic institutions, they are trained in some other fashion. So we found a gap area, and we find that challenges of the scale. So that's why we are doing this huge capacity building thing. We are developing multipliers. So challenge of the capacity is there. Even if tomorrow morning, if government of Delhi or government of India decides that every house should do rainwater harvesting, nobody knows how to do rainwater harvesting. So we are investing into multipliers in the capacity who could do good practices, who could design systems to treat wastewater, who could do rainwater harvesting, who could do other examples. So we are leapfrogging. If you really see, the Western world has developed in a way that they became a water supply city first, if you look at this, then seaward city, then rain city, and then water cycle city, and then they are talking about good practices like they should save water and all those things. But in India, we still do not have piped water supply, we do not have sewer network, and we do not have adequate drainage network because we are flooding. So these three stages are still not there in, I would say, 90% of our cities. So what we are trying to say is that from first stage water supply city, leapfrog to water sensitive city, if you see here. We are talking saying that because things are changing so fast that whatever you have done in 100 years, you should learn from that knowledge in India and abroad. We should use smart tools to make our cities sensitive, adaptive, multifunctional, and we should have design of the cities which also takes people along with that, because people are going to play an important role. It is not just institutions. So we are developing this agenda, and CSC's approach is that we should have urban areas developed, but we should also protect the lakes, ponds, and wetlands. We should have stormwater management, all the parks, open spaces. We should even, over and above this, we should continue to do the building level rainwater harvesting and change of water fixtures and other things which are required. We should also continue to do rainwater harvesting, storage if you want to reuse it. So these are few elements, and we have done is we have come out with basically a lot of toolkits, because we need to bring change at a scale. So we have produced these kind of manuals which guide the practitioners who want to do these kind of things and who want to take the agenda in their respective cities. We have developed online kits to prepare city sanitation plans. We have a web-based toolkit which documents all the technologies, all the good projects in on-site treatment, decentralized wastewater treatment, in-situ treatment. This is area-wise, city-wise, technology-wise, cost-wise. This is a searchable database. We give them the latest update knowledge here on the website. We also have launched last year something called Compendium of Green Infrastructure Network System. This gives people idea about India and abroad, what is the best projects on water management, how Western world and Europe is already, and developed world is going decentralized. So we are leapfrogging in terms of bringing knowledge to the people, real users and real implementers. So what we do is that with this knowledge, we have just partnered with Namami Gange, National Mission Clean Ganga, on a massive capacity building and action research project called capacity building and action research for making Ganga basin cities water sensitive. So this program is starting next week. The focus of this program is basically to train around 1,300 municipal functionaries on water sensitive design and planning and making cities more water resilient. The focus areas are water sensitive urban design and planning, water efficiency and conservation, decentralized wastewater treatment and reuse, urban groundwater management, urban water bodies and lake management. These 5 areas which were part of the advocacy now have been accepted by the Government of India, or with a targeted focus of Ganga Basin being targeted in this. And you are most welcome to join the launch event of this program on 27th July, which is there next week. And you can register on this link, www.cscindia.org. So the way ahead is strongly we feel is that we have to re-look at the way we manage the water. We should manage water and make it everybody's business, just not leave it to engineers and institutions. People should be involved. We should enhance water literacy. We should have an informed public opinion, and we should have a capacity building and training. And this should be a regular thing. The engineer who went to engineering college 30 years ago is now the chief engineer. He needs to go back to and enhance his knowledge. The planner who went to college 30 years ago, he's the chief planner. He should time to time come back and learn what is the most recent language. Similarly, all of you in different disciplines, even households, RWAs, they need to enhance the knowledge. Things are changing. They need to, and there should be a legislation followed with strict implementation. I think if we follow an alternative route of leapfrogging, I think we could achieve, or we could be near to the SDG goal, which is clean water and sanitation for all. Otherwise, I think it will remain a pipe dream. I think that's what I had to show today. So this was my presentation. I'll close it today here, and I'll stop here. Sudhaji, Alkaji, and Apurvaji, thanks for giving me opportunity. And
all here and yes, Apurva.
Sir, thank you, sir. It was an excellent presentation. Actually, the knowledge what you have given us, it was very valuable and it was very inspiring. That even I had the feeling that I should contribute more in this sector. As being an environmental engineer, I have studied solid waste management, but even I didn't had too many information. The you have said that there is a gap between academic and the industry. So I have actually experienced it, and I'm very much thankful for C4Y organization that they have arranged this program, and it was really very beneficial.
We can invite questions now. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Now we will go. We will go ahead and take some questions now.
Yeah, I have time. Please go ahead. Feel free. If you don't ask, then I'll ask first.
That'll be much more interesting, in fact.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Kaun bol rahe?
Sorry, sir. Good morning. Badal Chaudhary.
Badal, can you just, your camera, please.
Ma'am, I'm trying, but I have some hardware issue. Oh, it's okay. You have talked many times about decentralization of sewage, and you are also applying it in the CSE itself. Yeah. So I want to know about how you are decentralizing the sewage and how you are using it or treating it, like the strategy for the decentralization and its sustainable use.
See, it's not that we are only doing it CSE. I can say that with the confidence saying maybe in India there might be 50,000 systems already working. But it is up to the government when they want to recognize it.
Okay.
Look at any hotel and resort which is not in a municipal area. What do? You either dispose it off into the lake or river, or if you really treat it and reuse it. If there are permanent systems already existing. In the mountain areas, there is no sewage system. Then either you have septic tanks there, or you are treating the sewage. So at CSC, what we do is we treat our sewage water, and then we treat it using planted filter. We have an improved septic tank. Instead of 2 chambers, we have 7-8 chamber septic tank, which is underground. You don't need a above surface land. So it increases the efficiency of your septic tank, because if you have more number of chambers, your waste degradation happens quite efficiently. And then when what the liquid is coming out, basically that passes through the planted filter. Now, planted filter is that we don't have soil, we have river pebbles. Pebbles of different sizes are there in a kind of a rectangular or whatever shape you can give, and the plants are growing on that. So when the sewage passes through that, the plants take the nutrients from the sewage. So the plants also grow, they maintain your landscape and greenery, and CSC office in Delhi is connected to the sewer network. But what we have done is we have diverted our sewage to this septic tank and to the planted filter, and we are treating our sewage. And because our plants also need nutrients. Otherwise, we have to use artificial fertilizer, chemical-based fertilizer. So we use our high nutrient-rich water for horticulture water requirement, because you don't need RO water for plant horticulture. And our huge requirement of greening the campus is met by that. So this is in case of Delhi. But in case of any projects which is coming outside the municipal area or new areas, For example, if you see Dwarka subsidy would take like 20 years to become functional and sewer network becomes functional. I remember when I was a college student in 1990s in Delhi, that time Dwarka city started coming up. Now it is still in making. Phase 2 is still under development. For 20-25 years, the houses would not have a sewage treatment facility. Till the time, there is a kind of a minimum number of people, then only it becomes functional. So the point is there are such areas also, area in transition. Then there are new developments like Noida is developing some area, or some new EIA projects are coming up saying some remote area saying cantonment board. Now cantonment board would not have a sewerage network. Now any sports city would not have any recreation city, like there is a Delhi Mumbai corridor. Several projects are being constructed along Delhi Mumbai corridor. So now till the time a city is full-fledged working, you will not make the sewage treatment plant functional. But then that means for 20-25 years, you would have human pollutants finding its way into the water. So same is the issue of peri-urban area. आपके नोएडा में जो urban villages है उनको अभी sewage network provide किया जा रहा है. So everywhere this issue is there. So we are able to treat using natural system, nature-based technology. Plants are being used. There is no use of electricity. There is no use of chemical, and we are giving high nutrient water to green, horticulture water requirements. And if you really see in Delhi, they have made a policy now saying that there are 16,000 parks in Delhi. You can imagine what is the quantum of water required. But they use good quality groundwater for all the parks. So, and all these parks are located in the center of residential area. So every house is also having sewage, which is being taken away by sewer network to Okla treatment plant downstream. Now you are making, you don't know what to do with that. So if you think decentralized, then your own part of your sewage or full sewage from your neighborhood, you can just pump it in a treatment system in your park, the way we are doing it our CSE building, and then reuse it for your non-potable water requirement. But the moment you start challenging the government centralized system, they start thinking that we are challenging their problem, saying that the water which comes into the tap for drinking purposes, that we are doing. No, we are not saying that. That is only 10 liters, which people get it from that distillery wala, aata hai na, you pay 50 rupees or 100 rupees. Drinking water, though, in any case, you are getting bottled water. We are talking about non-potable water, which can be met from decentralized treatment and local reuse. I hope I've answered detailed about
To know, sir, I want to know one more thing. Like you have talked about that the plants are taking the nutrients from the water. What about the microbes that are there in water?
microbes. The septic tank grade. Okay, the septic tank is the process of in the primary. See, a good highest standard septic tank, which is there, BIS code standard, is a primary treatment system.
Okay.
It is a treatment system. There is a chamber, first chamber, of decomposition of the fluid. Only the water is coming out. There might be some microbes. So septic tank design usually says that there should be a kind of a soak pit, or there should be a polishing pond. The polishing pond, there is sun rays which will disinfect the plant. Okay. So in our campus in Alwar, we have a polishing pond. But in our campus in Delhi, where we don't have that much space, we have introduced a system called Vortex system, where we have installed kind of a spiraling effect of water, which gives you the desired quality of water, which meets all the regulatory standards. So microbes are taken care in different stages of the treatment system. Septic tank is the primary treatment system itself. So septic tank is a treatment system, but sewerage network is a conveyance system. There is a difference. Sewerage only takes wastewater from one point to other point, and you need to mix. This is very important. I want to tell you, it only makes problem travel from one point to another. You have 500 grams of your 100 grams of your human waste mixed with 15 liters of good quality water, and then you flush the toilet, and that your human waste travels from one point to another point. That is only what sewerage does. But septic tank, if there is no sewerage system, goes attached to your toilet. There is first chamber in which the solid falls there. There is some amount of liquid there, and there is a liquid which goes to the next chamber, and there is a next chamber. So when I said that instead of having 3 chambers, we are introducing 8 chambers of septic tank, which is an improved septic tanks. So decomposition of the human waste and pathogens are to quite extent, and it is the accepted technical standard. It is taken care of.
Okay, sir. Sir, I just want to know one more small thing. Like, is the that is there for the designing of that sewage tank along with the gravels and the plantation, is that available anywhere on your website?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if it's to install that.
Also run training program. It is available on our website also. There is a booklet also how to design that. There are films also which are made of video films how to. The link we have found that in various. So it is not just that it is done in CSC. There are across country several projects being done.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Badal, I'm just
Thank you,
briefing
sir.
you because it's an audio issue. Yeah. Yeah.
Any more questions?
Anybody? Any questions?
Good morning, sir.
Please raise the hand if you have question. Okay, okay.
May I
Well,
go?
raising hand and Chaitanya
Okay,
raising.
Chaitanya, you can go ahead.
Thank you. So I had a question like you had mentioned about we should have a long-term vision for our solutions. So on one hand, we've been listening about the climate change effects or the extreme unpredictable events that will be coming up. So how where do we design our solutions and water infrastructures based on the climate change models, or like what is the approach that we take to design the long-term visions for a solution?
I think in a global south, we do not have that kind of databases to run the climate model, the perfect models, and to downscale that model in global south. So we'll have to have a mixed method approach. That's also works. Like if you wait for data, precise data to be available, rain gauge stations at every micro level rainfall data and also temperature data, which will take a huge amount of time. I think what we should do is a mixed method approach. We should have dynamic situation evolving. We can use some digital instruments to have sensors and all those things to predict the changing rainfall and the dynamic rainfall. We can have within the city several such stations to provide rainfall data, temperature data also, so that we can start building. But however, we should have more adaptive capacity and flexibility in the design. So today what happens is if you have designed a system, suppose a drainage system, which can only take the maximum flood, which is maximum of 25 years, that certainly will make your cities flood. So you have compromised that and you have covered all the open nalas and you are making roads on that. Instead of that, you should leave those nalas open. If you see increasingly what is happening is you are closing those nalas into a fixed space and we are converting them to a controlled diameter. So that you cannot extend it because you would have made road over that now. So biggest problem I was listening to Rajya Sabha TV channel day before yesterday was that they said in Gurgaon there's one of the nalas they've covered and there are pillars under that. So what is happening is those pillars in which if there is a solid waste which is going and if that is clogged, there is no way you can open up also. Because who will go in that methane full and all toxic gases there in below? Who would go and clean those nalas which have been covered now? So you should have more nature-based system. Nature has its own natural self-cleansing velocity also.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Chaitanya, for a good question.
Ujjwal, you can go ahead with the question.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sure.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. So, okay. Sir, you talked about how various policies have been working on in this sector and how they have been mostly motivated by Western policies. So, what do you think is more feasible? It's like, should we be changing these policies or making new policies that nullify their impact? So, which would be a better option?
We have already started changing policies, as I said. I said that there is a new policy which came in 2017, then the 19 states have come out their policies. We have already gone ahead, and India is, because after becoming ODF, India is changing its policies. So we have to have more sustainable and affordable practices and policies. If we don't have colonies like Britishers had India as a colony, we don't have that kind of resources that we can solve the problem of Thames River and the pollution problem because we don't have that kind of resources. Over here, people don't even pay for water. So where will you recover the cost of sewage treatment? So the issue is that we don't have colonies like we had historically. We only have a political economy of water where people do not pay. But there are different formulas working in Delhi, for example. I'm very happy that earlier I was not sure that whether it is good or bad. Delhi gives 20,000 liters free water. But after 20,000, it charges 3 times more. So even politicians are learning this trick how to recover. So the one thing they ensured with giving free water, they ensured everybody gets metered. So by giving free water, they got everybody attached to a meter network, which nobody was willing to come. So this is a new innovation in the policy. Okay, then what happens is you don't know when you have crossed that benchmark of 20,000. If you are doing 21,000, then 1,000 liters is going to recover the cost of the remaining 20,000 also, which was earlier the bill which we were charging. Like people were being charged 100 rupees per month. Now, we are 2 members in my house, and I have not got a water bill for several months now, 2 years or 3 years. But big houses or people who waste water, they would get a bill if the moment they cross 20,000, which is 3 times more than the actual the water usage. So one side of angle of innovation policy is that is already happening. Delhi has announced, for example, decentralized wastewater treatment plants. They are also doing in Lodi Gardens. If you go, there is a water which used to come from treatment plant from Okhla, and there was a pipeline which was bringing water. But if you are sitting in the in the Lodi Gardens, you would see there is a smell of that water which was there because it was treated wastewater. And it was because nobody knows that the treatment plant which was there, whether that was working that time or not. Because if there was electricity failure or there was a quality standard compromise, then the same water is being, they call it kacha pani usko. You can go because I'm sure people will visit this Delhi and they will know if you are based in Delhi. But if you look at if there is a treatment plant using soil technology in the Lodi Gardens itself, people can see the treatment system also, which is the plants are there, they are treating the sewage and the treated sewage which comes from there. This is an innovation in policy. So normally, why should a sewage treatment plant be made outside the settlement? That can be inside your city also. You can see and citizen act as a wardens of that, saying if the treatment plant is not working, BOD, COD results will come after 5 days. You are the first person who will say there is a smell. I think something is not working. And there is on the outlet, I can see there is a fish dying or there is black water visible. Water treatment plant is not working. So I think that there is a policy are changing because I would say there is a change in policies happening. If you really see today, I'm very happy to say that the Prime Minister has launched something called Catch Water Where It Falls, which is CSE's tagline of 1997 when we published Dying Wisdom. This is the term coined by CSE. In fact, today ministry uses, and I was following ministry's handle yesterday. They use the promo film of rainwater harvesting. You can go on to Jal Shakti Ministry, a promo film made by CSE in 1998. You can see the government is 25 years behind. So which we have been, so we are trying to be forward looking, but government is also the reforms in India takes a lot of time, frankly. Reforms in India take time because there are institutions which do not involve public. But now increasingly when politicians are going to people and people are demanding change, which we have also worked with people to push politicians to accept that they need to do harvest water, they need to provide treated sewage such that river health is there. I think these are the enabling, you can say, such frameworks are developed that policy should change. Good, Ujjwal. Yeah, I've answered your question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
There
It
are
was
10 states who have also developed reuse policy now, I think. Treated wastewater reuse policy. And more states and cities are making reuse policy also.
Elena, you can go ahead with the question.
Yeah, Elena?
Elena, I guess your
Elena
mic
was
is
first,
off.
am I correct?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Elena.
Okay, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So my question is like, since our cities are growing or urbanizing on a rapid pace, there is limitation in terms of like open green spaces or park spaces already. So I want to know, like, is it possible to completely convert a city into a water sensitive city? Like, is it possible, or what is the limitation on ground for implementing these green infrastructure approaches or WSUDP approaches?
See, I am not a very purist kind of a water expert. I would always say that first explore all the possibilities of in situ augmentation, then bring the deficient water from outside. But when you make a master plan, you make the master plan from day one, saying that when the city will have 10 lakh population, it will have every drop of water from dams. That is that preempting is going to be harming. And then on the other side, CSC has done enough studies. You can have a look at our CGINS platform and other places. We have found, for example, we have done a detailed study of Noida also. We have done a detailed study of Dwarka. We have done detailed study of several other cities. There is enough open spaces in cities. It is a very wrong to say that there are, when I'm saying that Delhi has 16,000 parks, which is like 800, 900 hectares open areas available. So I don't agree that, so it is just the vision which you have for the city and the way you want to do it. If you set up a target for population saying this city will accommodate this much population, that means you will have used 25% of land for built environment. Why don't you set up a target saying of the total rainwater which falls in the city, 25% of the runoff you will capture? You don't do that. So this is what is the vision. And then back calculate that how many million liters of rainwater. So you should set up that in 25 years, 25% of the rainfall you will harvest. And you should set up the target 25% of the sewage you will treat it. So along with the population where you go as a the development paradigm, you should also think of cutting. You should say that we will replace 50% of the flushing toilets mechanisms from 15 liter to 5 liter. So if you do that, so you would use the technology also, like you are using an electricity saying yellow bulb to CFL. You will use the high water consuming toilet systems to one-third water using toilet system, or you will go waterless urinals. You will have less water consuming showers. You will have less water consuming washing machines. But these things do not come. They say no, no. When the city develops, this is the responsibility of water. Some other department, what Delhi Jal Board department. So I would totally disagree and say that there is enough spaces in the city. There is enough scope for innovation. And we have done a lot of screening at CSC. I think you are working with us. So my
Yes,
teams
sir.
will give you enough idea about where these spaces are there. And I'm very confident about when I'm saying so. If you come to me or if you take to me to any city, I can give you at least 5,000 opportunities for harvesting rainwater and 5,000 spaces for treating wastewater.
Thank you, sir. That was a great answer.
Sadan,
Hello.
Sadan Hussain is there.
Sadan is wanted to ask one question. We have only 3 minutes remaining actually to conclude our session.
No problem.
But we can carry on if ma'am permits.
Yeah, we can do that because we're going to have a group exercise after this and we can kind of do it at 12 also. And
Okay, ma'am.
provided
Okay.
Suresh ji has time. Yeah.
मैं 5 मिनट ही कर पाऊंगा मेरा दूसरा एक कॉल है 11:30 बजे
Perfect.
ठीक
Not a problem.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yeah, please.
Sorry, I won't be able to switch on my camera because of network. But
आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है
am I audible? Am I
Yeah.
audible now? Yeah. So
Yes,
when we are
then you're
talking
audible.
yeah, so when we're talking about policy making, and so there is what I personally think is there is a lot more than wash, sanitary, and when we're talking about water issues, so there is also something called affected by water. मतलब problems होती हैं बहुत सी water related भी. So don't you think, sir, कि now the risk modeling, when it comes to risk modeling, the risk modeling must be the risk modeling must not keep a particular city or community in mind, but now it's time for the Indian organizations also to emphasize on the need of making global mitigation plans, because कई बार ऐसा होता है कि अगर कोई water related disaster है, let me talk about people of Tamil Nadu who are affected by floods, and उनका सोशो इकोनॉमिक इम्पैक्ट जो होता है रिवरआइन कम्युनिटीज का. सो जो हम देखते हैं पिक्चर्स में होता है कि हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एवरीबडी ब्लेम गेम चलता है. सो डोंट यू थिंक सर कि इंडिया में भी अब जो रिस्क मॉडलिंग होनी चाहिए, दैट शुड बी मोर ऑफ फ्रॉम अ multi global mitigation point of view rather than a particular point of view, because this is what my question is. I hope I am clear of what I am asking.
You are correct on that, but I have come to saying the global model is SDG. SDG goals say that safe water supply to all and safe, appropriate treatment of human waste as well as wastewater. And they don't specify technology. You have to be technology neutral. Technology is suitable to, you have to find the solutions suited to your context. If you can afford it, go and buy it. If you cannot afford it, then you should, your goal is to have a sanitized city, not by, for example, in Chennai, you ended up installing a desalination plant instead of promoting rainwater harvesting. Desalination plant is not able to provide water, and then you were bringing water from tankers and trains. So the point is, you went for the costliest solution, thinking that you will be able to solve Chennai's problem, and you ignored the rainwater harvesting systems in the city, which were not operated and maintained, which was decentralized solution. And only now, when Chennai faced the water problems and the flooding problem both, there is a, in fact, there was a lot of efforts made by decision maker forcefully in Chennai to make rainwater harvesting systems in houses which were not ready to make houses. So that's why, because the problem was the water supply sewerage board was never engaging with households. They were treating them only as subscriber. They were not treating them as their users or partners. So every household, every user of water is a partner in the water management sector. They are not just a subscriber.
So this is where my question comes in. This was the exact thing that I was trying to come up with. My question was that this is what you're absolutely right. क्योंकि तब यही मैं कह रहा हूँ, अगर policy सही से frame हुई होती, तो everybody must be kept in consideration, right? So we failed somewhere in the policy making, which had an effect. This was what I was trying to come up with.
अब तो policy बन रही है ना, अभी तो हमने what I'm saying is now policies are changing. As I gave you some example, at least at the policy level, I find a lot of things changing. Now the practice is a problem. Like Government of India is saying that Jal Shakti mission, every village and every town, if one lake has to be saved, do you know how many lake development professionals you need? Do we even know that how lake is managed? There are people who are saying that they can clean a lake in 1 week and 1 day. That's not how lakes are managed. So even if Government of India decides that all the water bodies in the country will be revived by next week, do you have enough capacity? No, we don't have. The engineers who are running the department, they are on a different mindset. They were not trained for that. They are trained for electromechanical, high-cost, chemical-based treatment systems. So they will not be able to. Every village cannot have electricity 24/7 at the moment. There is no electricity. There is no chemical supply. It's not a war, but it's a service which needs. We need to look at sustainable and affordable solutions, I think. There's no doubt. I'm saying that the policies are now shaping up. I gave you an example. Jal Jeevan Mission is the right policy, but it is also, there is something called Atal Mission, Bhujal Mission, where there is a focus on groundwater, but it is 25 years delayed. So this should have happened before also. Certainly there is an advocacy and push working. Whatever NGOs were talking has been accepted by government. The real challenge is for NGOs to find a new space. That what they will say to the government, then what will be the new areas. So whatever, I would say NGOs, not academic institutions, frankly. Academic institutions have followed only 1950s knowledge. So there is increasingly management institutions giving more support to the programs, not academic institutions, unfortunately. KPMG, ENY, these kind of institutions are running the management systems. So we need to push contents, we need to push quality. Quality comes from deeper research. So our academic institutions research was separated. If you look in India, research for there's something called National Physical Laboratory, National Chemical Laboratory. There are research institutions separate from academic institutions which feed into the government's program agenda. And they have set up a National Chemical Laboratory, National Physical Laboratory. There are several other. So the research agenda was totally different from the academic research agenda. So there are technical support agencies like National Institute of Urban Affairs, which was supposed to feed through research into the policy reforms, which is now doing it something. So the academic institutions did not play a vital role in the past, or they did not have that space because the research was separated. That was only for industry they had. They developed the RO system. That was very good, but that is energy intensive. That is that wastes a lot of water. And they have an incubated company that came from IIT Kanpur. And all the top institutions in the country also, I am also from an institute, but also if we are given to adopt one city, would we be able to solve the problem of that city as an academic institution? No, because we are disconnected from the reality. The most polluted stretch of river Ganga exists in Kanpur. Most polluted stretch of river Yamuna is in Delhi, where we have the topmost academic institutes. And very frequently, our institute, like School of Planning and Architecture, gets flooded every year. Is this something seriously not wrong for us to think? So somewhere there is a disconnect between the ground reality, because we are not pushing the agenda to the next level. And these facts, you can check it. This is something, an open debate I'm having with you guys. You can go and check with School of Planning and Architecture, where they have pumps installed in their campus. Every year it gets flooded, because when Yamuna water goes high, because they don't have control, they have not been able to push the agenda. Only recently, after 30 years, the planning discipline, first time in the history of town planning, has added the word water sensitive design and planning. They were only planning for land, and engineers were planning only for big dams, and they were only planning for pipe sewer networks. Today also you will not find groundwater experts in UP Jal Nigam or Delhi Water Supply Sewer Board. They are largely mechanical engineer and civil engineers dominated. There is no sociologist, there is no ecologist, there is no social expert. And under these programs, people are being hired as a PMU, which is only short-term engagement, like temporary staff. You are not a mainstream. Socio-economics of the technology or health related is not a part of your. The government, in fact, government wanted, but it was the technology institutes which opposed that health should be related to technology. There is no medical college associated with IIT. There is a direct link between the health and technology. Very recently, in last 3-4 years, when there has been a push, so some of the IITs have started coming up with a provision saying there will be a medical school in the IITs also. There is a direct link with health and technology, isn't it? So I have very strong opinions on that. That's why I'm being very clear about these things, because we have the most polluted rivers, most water stressed areas, where the most top institutions in the world are ranked among the top 100 institutions exist. But we are not able to push the agenda on the ground level. We say, no, we will publish only in the academic journals. But who will train these junior engineers who are struggling and Minto Bridge when it's getting drowned? Who is going to do that? Okay, people, I'll take last question. I'll have to leave at any cost in 5. Okay.
Yeah, sure, sir. Ankit, you can go ahead.
I have a meeting. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I would like to interact, but I have a meeting. Somebody's sending me a message across. Yeah, Ankit, please.
It's very
Sure.
fascinating.
Sir, my question is, as we know, 70% of water is used in agriculture sector. So, sir, don't you think we should also focus about efficient use of water in agriculture sector? Because it can be also a problem for water scarcity. And
You are correct. I would say not 70 or 30, but these are only numbers. किसी ने water meter लगा नहीं रखा. किसने लगा रखा खेतों में वाटर मीटर की? कोई कहता है 30%. सिटी में जितना पानी यूज होता है, तो आपको पता है कि कितना यूज होता है? कंस्ट्रक्शन में कितना पानी निकाला जा रहा है आपको पता है? नहीं, मुझे पता है नहीं, मुझे हमारे घरों में भी मीटर नहीं लगे. ये सब बड़े ग्रॉस एस्टिमेट्स होते हैं. सिटी में जो वाटर यूसेज है वो अंडर एस्टिमेटेड, अनअकाउंटेड है. इंडस्ट्री में कितना पानी यूज होता है किसी ने एस्टिमेट ही नहीं किया. हम सिर्फ एस्टिमेट, या तो आप सीवेज मीटर लगा लीजिए, जीरो डिस्चार्ज साइट कर दीजिए, आप उसको बोलिए जो भी एक ड्रॉप बाहर निकलता है उसका रिवर्स कैलकुलेशन कीजिए. किसको पता है? अगर किसान अगर पानी यूज करता है वो तो ओपन एरिया में करता है, वो रिचार्ज भी तो करता है. फिर
yes, sir.
आप 70% अगर यूज कर रहा है तो रिचार्ज भी तो कर रहा होगा ना वो.
Yes, sir. But
नहीं, 70% में रिचार्ज भी तो कर रहा है ना वो. तो आप हरदम ये कहते हो मैं बदलना नहीं चाहता, मैं दूसरे को बदलना चाहता हूँ. आप कहते हो मेरा ट्रीटेड वेस्ट वाटर किसान ले ले. क्यों? आप अपने पार्क में डालने को तैयार नहीं हो. आप किसान को कहते हो कि वो आपका ट्रीटेड वेस्ट वाटर ले ले. फर्स्ट यू हैव टू change yourself and you have to use it. If you cannot do something, you can't expect somebody else to do it. If industry can't change, if city can't change, why should farmer change? The most educated and literate people are the industry and the cities.
yes, sir.
Increasingly, you are growing at a fast pace. If you can't change and if you are not willing to change, why should you expect farmer to change? Because just poor people no voice. आप बताइए, आप अपने घर में रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग करना चाहेंगे, अपने पार्क में सीवेज ट्रीटमेंट करना चाहेंगे? नहीं. तो आप किसान को कह रहे हो कि आपका सीवेज वो ले ले.
Sir, I was trying to
दी जाती है हम लोगों को स्कूलों में, कॉलेज में, कि आप वेस्ट जनरेट कीजिए और कूड़ा उठाने वाला जो है वो कूड़े वाला कहलाता है. लेकिन कूड़े वाले तो हम हैं, कूड़ा तो हम फैलाते हैं ना. और जो कूड़ा
Yes, sir.
उठाने
Sir,
वाली गाड़ी आती है सबसे गंदी होती है। अगर कूड़ा उठाने वाली गाड़ी होगी जिसे हम कहें कि सफाई वाली गाड़ी है, तो तभी तो हमारा परसेप्शन बदलेगा। वो सफाई वाली गाड़ी है ना, जब वो लैंडफिल में
Yes, sir.
जाती है, लैंडफिल से आने के बाद उसको साफ होना चाहिए ताकि वो आपके घर में आए। ये नजरिया जब बदलेगा ना, देन ओनली यू थिंग्स विल चेंज। At the moment we think them that they are the people who are generating waste and you are the people who are clean people. No, that's not true. We are the people who are creating the problem. We are going and destroying their ecological setup and bringing water from dams. All the way from dams, you are bringing piped water to the city. This is exploitation. First, you put your own house in order, then only bring deficit. And there should be an understanding between, nobody would fight for water. When I started working in water 25 years ago, people said that third world war will be on water in 2001. 2021 तो आ गया, world war तो मुझे होता लग नहीं रहा कभी. We are human beings, you know. We are human beings, will not fight on water. हमारे culture में ये है कि हम पानी पिला देते हैं कोई भी आता है तो. We will not fight on water. It is only the cities, the political ecology makes us fight on water.
Very good morning, कौन?
घरों घरों गली गली में मटके रखे जाते थे। एक हमारा कल्चर वो था जिसमें मटके से हम पानी पीते थे, स्टेशन पे आपको पानी मिल जाता था। लेकिन आज आपको पानी की 40 रुपए की बॉटल, ये हमारा कल्चर नहीं, ये हमारा वाटर मैनेजमेंट का तरीका नहीं।
बाद में लेके आना,
ठीक है। So I hope I've answered. So Sudhaji, Alkaji, I will take leave.
I know. I think you have really done a shakedown, and this is very much required. We need to reverse our thinking process. I think that's what you have done. And Apurva, if you have any last minute, but thank you, last word, but thank you very, very much. And please share your PPT if possible. PPT, we need your PPT.
I have made difficult for the second speaker. I think my friend Chari will come, so ask him the difficult questions.
Sureshji, your PPT we need.
I will send you. I will send you across. No worries.
Yes, Apurva, close the session, please.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you have guided us beautifully. And the thing which we have learned today, that we need to change our perception. Being an engineer, being like studying so much from so many years, but we are not like we are just focused only on our academic portion. But we really need to change our perception. And I believe that we should start thinking more about charity begins at home. So we need to really focus it on much.
Thank you, Purva.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sudhaji. Bye, people. Have a good day and enjoy your internships in respective organizations. And looking forward to meeting you at some point of time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Suresh.
My email ID will be there in presentation. If anybody still has any questions, please come back to me.
Perfect. We'll do that.
And I can be found on LinkedIn also. Thank you. Bye.